It's Friday, week 3 of our Black History Month celebration. Hope you have been enjoying what God has been doing in our midst. And just sit back and see what you can learn, you can think about. Black history done a little something different.
They tried twice to sell her, but they couldn't get the price. So they ended up selling the mother and the 2 boys. And there's a whole nother intricate story behind it. But Oliver Jones was another veteran like Woodson's father. And when he had learned how to read, Woodson's father made Carter G. Woodson read him the newspaper. This brother right here was a Civil War veteran, Oliver Jones. He worked in the coal mine, and then he started a reading room in the parlor of his house. And he told Woodson, look, you read us these papers, and you can eat anything in here. Ice cream, got watermelon, all that. I mean, he writes about it in this. So Woodson's job was to read the papers, and Oliver Jones and the men who worked in those coal mines, who had disposable income, subscribed to every black newspaper they could find, and many of the white ones. Carter G. Woodson said it was Oliver Jones that put George Washington Williams' History of the Negro Race in African America in my hand. It was Oliver Jones that told me to read the book that he had on his bookshelf, Men of Mark, by William J. Simmons. I could hear John Henry Clark talking about Men of Mark. This big old thick book, every famous Negro in the country ever was, Men of Mark. Jones is like, read it to me, because Jones couldn't read. But Woodson said he was one of the most educated men I knew, and they would sit in there and debate. They knew everything. They knew about William Jennings Bryan. They knew about the stock market, the Cross of Gold speech, you name it. These are black men. With the young boys, say, I'll read it all. And then when they didn't understand an issue, they would send Woodson, go research it, come back, tell us the rest. Carter Woodson, one of the greatest scholars ever produced in this God-forsaken settler colony called United States of America, was not trained at Harvard. He was trained by Oliver Jones and the men. My recollection of veterans of the Civil War. We got to understand that. That's very important. As Hubert Henry Harrison said, when they would heckle, they would heckle him because he didn't go to school, but they said he knew more than everybody in New York. And these white boys would come down on their lunch hour on Wall Street in the 20s, heckling Hubert Henry Harrison. And one of them said, I finished Harvard. And then Hubert Harrison said, well, if you finished it, why is it still there? And by the way, why do you call it, you finish something and you call it commencement? And then so then he would just start taking them down through all the language, and then they would just like, go away. Yeah, go away, man. Me and Arthur Schomburg, we read books. I don't need no license to read a book. Away from me. So Woodson's World and Ours, very quickly. I mean, some of the books. The Education of the Negro prior to 1861. That is his first book that he published. He said, I'm going to tell y'all about all these schools we had during slavery and before the Civil War started. The mind of the Negro is reflected in letters written during the crisis. He said, send me all the correspondence black people was writing to each other, and I'll just put it in a book and publish it. Negro orators and their orations. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me apologize to people in here who have these books, because I know this is a twice-told tale, but there may be somebody here who doesn't know this. This was the speeches. They publishing all this. All these books he's publishing in the Associated Publishers. He said black people should have their own publishing company, so I'm going to publish my own stuff. I love this little book right here. I actually have a copy, African Myths, that's just like this. They republished it, Dover Edition Press, but I love this book. This is one of the books I take out to the children, little children. Because Woodson collected all these stories from around Africa, and they're like parables, these tales. And the thing about it, he edited them so none of them have endings. So you take the children through all the story, and then at the end, you ask them, how would you resolve this? Oh, it's really something. Even now, you can say, okay, well, these 3 guys wanted to marry this princess, and he goes through this whole thing. They end up tricking each other, and he said, at the end, which one should she choose? But there's no answer. It's really something. Yeah, Woodson is like, I'm educating these children. Journal of Negro History, of course, we know. The Negro in our history, Woodson and Wesley. First Woodson, then Wesley came on. This was the textbook that was used in the black schools. Woodson, as we heard Kamal said, he's attacking apartheid with the cumulative weight of fact. He's not really trying to engage in hyperbole. This is going to be important in a minute as well. And he's building collective power through mass self-determined movement. I'll take $1 from you, $3 from you. I'll speak at this church. I'll go around. All the money goes to the association. I'm not taking a salary. You know, I go to Paris and eat good food once a year for a few years, but everything else, I don't take a salary. All this, he's doing that, and that's why people trusted Woodson. Let's return to the end, Woodson's transition. Is Woodson's dream of integrating African memory into American memory possible? That's the question, really. Because here we get a little complicated, and I'm looking at my eye on the clock, and I'm kind of winding because we got to give us plenty of time to have a conversation. Woodson believed that if we wage this intellectual warfare by putting these facts out, give me all your documents. I'm going to publish the documents. Why? Because I want people to see the mind of the Negro. Meaning, we were writing letters. We don't need no William Lloyd Garrison. Black people are writing to each other in 1850 and 1840. Here it is. Okay, here, give me that speech, Henry Garnett. We're just going to publish. And Woodson would put ads in the the Journal of Negro History saying, send us your documents. What does that mean? Anything y'all got on paper, we'll publish it.
Associated with these concepts are images that reinforce within the people's mind who they are and what they have the capacity to become. So whoever controls your concept of God and your image of God controls you. Nobody knows what God looks like. So for Michelangelo to paint God in the image of a white man with a beard was to use this powerful reference of the mind's desire to mirror what it sees. And then that became ingrained in the minds of people as the perfect image for God, the unseen creator that created everything and that rules us all. And so if God is white, and if the Son of God, Jesus, is white, then that means that white people are closer to God than any other people on the planet. What a powerful tool of brainwashing and spiritual manipulation. So this tool has been used very effectively to control most of the world and most of the people of the world and the resources of the world. But this is a concept, an idea that is only maybe 2,500 years old. It's a new concept. And it's a concept that has peaked and is now declining very rapidly. So the question is for people of African ancestry is, what do you replace this old concept with? We have the greatest reserve of knowledge and imagery of African people and our ancestors' association with the Creator, with the unseen. And I submit to you that the sooner we begin to see the Creator, see the unseen in our own image,